The video you're about to watch contains significant spoilers in relation to Cyberpunk 2077's multiple endings, and more specifically, the secret ending. So, if you haven't played the game through to the end at least once, then I suggest you stop the video now and come back at a later date. As in this video, I'll be going over the secret ending and what that means for possible future DLC, what the progress bar on the menu means for possible future DLC, and some minor things that you guys might have missed. I'm Mike, you're watching Deconstructing the Game. Let's get to it.
You just discovered what it takes to become a legend. Grab your iron. Let's mobilize.
Yes guys, back in Cyberpunk 2077, and as I said in the intro, we will be talking about the multiple endings for Cyberpunk, and we will be focusing on mainly the secret ending to Cyberpunk, or the ending I like to call the true ending to Cyberpunk 2077, because I think this opens a lot of doors for future DLC, and if you bear with me, I will explain all and my rationale behind it. I don't want to talk too much about the mission itself, but what I do want to focus on is what happens after you've completed the mission and you detach Johnny Silverhand from your psyche and return, knowing full well that in 6 months you unfortunately are going to die. And this is a case across the board for all the endings to the game, of course, unless you decide to commit suicide on this very rooftop. But if you complete the missions and go on to the cutscenes at the end, there's always the option to remain in cyberspace or go back to your body and basically try and find a cure or accept your fate. But there is hope. Yes, there is, because it would appear that V's fate is not actually sealed, and the future for Cyberpunk 2077 is not yet set. And the reason I say this is because the way the game actually sets you up for a brand new mission set in the last parts of the game, which sees you ultimately flying into space, putting on a spacesuit, and jumping out the airlock to go and rob an orbital casino. And it's all because of this guy right here, otherwise known as Mr. Blue Eyes. If you've paid attention to the gameplay trailers, or if you own any of the collector's edition art books, you will have seen Mr. Blue Eyes quite a number of times, but we haven't actually seen him in the game or heard about him until now. But Mr. Blue Eyes can wait just a little bit longer, as I want to focus on the immediate aftermath of that final cutscene where you're dropping down the well saying goodbye to Johnny. After those cutscenes where you're saying goodbye to Johnny and falling down the cyber well, we ultimately end up waking up in a rather nice looking apartment overlooking Night City. It's very nicely decorated, it's obviously very expensive, and we have a lot of things going on. It's important to note that at this point V is still dying and suffering the effects of Johnny's construct being in her brain and damaging her synapses. But there might still be hope for V, as if you listen to this news article, it talks about how people with MS are being cured by nanites repairing the neural tissue inside their body. Whether this has the same effect for V's situation, we've yet to find out.
Multiple sclerosis. MS is one of the few diseases that cannot be cured by replacing the affected tissue with implant technology. But the experts at Biodyne have created nanites that, when injected into the spinal cord, provide long-term uninterrupted repair to the neural tissue. The cost of this cutting-edge therapy treatment has been listed at €700,000 per month.
Yes, you heard that right. The price was €700,000. But as we're promised, if we pull off the heist for Mr. Blue Eyes, we will.
You'll gain more than you ever imagined.
This statement, coupled with some other things I found, makes me think that V has a chance of saving herself if she completes this mission. And this also opens up possibilities for further DLC along the lines. But what happened between the point of dropping down the cyber well and waking up in your apartment? There's a substantial change in scene here, and It just isn't explained. There's something missing, and I firmly believe that the gaps in the timeline will be filled with either DLC content or extra cutscenes to explain how you end up where you do. Just as in The Witcher 3, when you received that message saying you are at a pivotal point in the game and things may change after here and you're unable to do side missions, once we got over that point, we weren't put back to that pivotal moment. We were given the choice of how to succeed and how to complete the game and what path to take, but we never got put back to choose a different option. Now, this is something that surprised me with Cyberpunk, the fact that we actually got put back to this point to try a different ending. But I think sooner or later, we're going to have to live with the choices we make, and then we can decide if we want to come back and try again. And I also think that some parts of the endings will involve their own unique DLC as well, whether it be searching for a cure with the nomads or going the side of Mr. Blue Eyes, pulling off the heist, and possibly finding another cure. And I'll explain my rationale with this picture here. This is obviously the start menu of the game, and you will see the percentages lined up here. I have never seen these percentages go above 90, 70, and 40, which suggests to me that we have another third of the game to discover in relation to story. So if you add up the totals of the percentages missing, we have another 100%. I think that we are going to have another 30% worth for Johnny's storyline, which could be the upcoming Where's Johnny DLC. We're going to have another 10% for V's storyline, which could involve various different NPCs and companion characters. And we have another 60% of play with our countdown to death in relation to how far along the corruption of our memory is. And that is a lot of story gameplay to develop. And I think that is what's coming next, is that we're going to have these unique path options and we're going to have to inevitably deal with the choices that we make. Because as it stands, there aren't really many choices. In fact, there aren't any real choices. The paths all lead to the same place, but not for long. As well as that, there are a number of characters that aren't explored in any detail. Take Adam Smasher, for example. I would absolutely love to know what this guy's backstory is because he is an absolute psychopath, but interesting nonetheless. He's converted his entire body to basically being a machine. And to delve deeper into this guy's past and know more about him would just be absolutely amazing. And the same with Jackie. Jackie, for me, was killed off far too early, but I do believe that we can bring him back using Soul Killer and possibly Johnny's help in the future. So, to cut a growing story short, guys, this is obviously just speculation and my opinion based on things I found, but I really hope that it comes true because it means that we have a choice in the fate of V and how things play out, and we won't have to return to that no return point and continue the game knowing that 6 months down the line, ultimately nothing's going to change. And obviously, if we do get this Casino Heist DLC, this will open up avenues to explore Mr. Blue Eyes' backstory and possibly new characters. We might have to go back in time in Johnny Silverhand's story DLC, and we can discover Adam Smasher and what his life was like. So there is a good chunk of stuff here that is missing, obviously, from the game when it was released, and hopefully they're going to start giving us more as time goes on. I strongly believe that this is all coming, and this will be the game that CD Projekt Red inevitably wanted us to have, but just fell short because of pressure, time restraints, whatever you want to call it. Have faith, guys. I really think that we're going to be in for a treat here. But the bigger question is, are those two famous words, no future, foreshadowing for the future of V? Or does it simply mean that your future in the game is not yet set? And that V's fate is quite simply up in the air. I'm Mike, You've been watching Deconstructing the Game. I'll catch you later.
It'll be all right, V. You'll see.